I'm going to ask Robert Lecter to tell us a little bit about his recent transaction. He closed a big deal in Miami. Can you tell us a little bit about, from start to finish, the agony, the pain, the rewards, all of it?
I'll do that as long as you don't call me an expert.
You know what the definition of an expert is, right? An X is a has-been and a spurt is a drip under pressure. So we're not going to call you an expert.
No, because I think in general, I mean, this room is full of very smart people, and I think that there's many routes you can take, and at the end of the day, what's important is that you make a good return on your money. And there's many different styles, of course, and strategies. I've been a developer down here in South Florida for 20 years. I'm a principal in our company. It's called REMS Group. I have my partner here, my partner in REMS Group, Greg Houston too. We've been primarily a commercial player. We've bought, managed, sold, improved, rented, built. Probably the last 20 years, I never added it up, but it must be upwards of $300–400 million worth of transactions or something like that. At some point, we were involved in developing 2 small condominiums in South Beach. It was actually, I learned enough to become dangerous in that field. And we were successful. We built when times were more normal. It was 2000. And they're very cool buildings, loft buildings. The easiest part was selling them. And in fact, back then in 2000, we were breaking records selling at $300 a square foot on inland projects. They're both very beautiful condo buildings with loft style, lap pool. One of them has a lap pool at the roof. It's tough to develop in South Florida. There's a lot of value at being able to buy something that's already built. Believe me, take my word for it. In any case, those deals were completed successfully. Basically, we're opportunity-driven developers and investors. I work with groups. This business requires a lot of money. We work with a lot of equity. That's been a motto, and that keeps you out of trouble. Our commercial right now is holding. We're surviving well, let's put it that way. It's very tough out there, by the way, still. So I don't know what Obama says, but we still got some ways to go. In any case, we obviously identified residential as an area where there were going to be interesting opportunities. I was personally, one of my partners, who's a pretty big boy on his own, actually was one of the first ones to do a bulk deal. We walked in together in March of this year into the 1060 building. The 1060 Brickell building is a very well-built development. It's about 550 units.
76.
576 units. At the time, the developer was starting to work out a deal with the lender so as to lower release prices so that they could continue moving the building. About 200 out of the 600 units had sold, probably about average $400 a foot. We walked in saying we want to buy the rest of the inventory at $170 a foot. And they stopped to $200. So we didn't buy the whole, 300 units, thank God, although looking back now, we would have made a lot of money, but in any case, that would have been a $60 million transaction. My partner ended up buying for himself 35 units. He put in about $10 million. They opened up the whole price list for us. At that point, they had started, this transition process that you've been seeing that's been recycling the market, right? I mean, developers get together with the lenders, you lower release prices, and you start selling the project, right? Retail kind of thing. So we had the full price list for the whole project. My partner picked and chose, and he bought it $200 a square foot, no closing costs. And that was probably one of the first large fractured, condo bulk purchases. I didn't participate, I was just an advisor, but what I did realize very quickly was that there was something very interesting going on in Brickell, which was well documented after the fact, which is that we've had an incredible mini boom in Brickell. I don't think as much in downtown. I think downtown is behind, but Brickell has established itself as an urban 24-hour living and work area, right? I mean, and basically there's been a lot of migration. Of course, rental rates dropped, and all of a sudden you start seeing migration into the area because people like to live in urban environments. It's well documented. But I mean, my neighbor here, Peter, has all the data, but I saw it. I mean, my partner absorbed 35 units that were rented in 6 weeks. So we started looking around, and basically I'm a little bit of a control freak, at least that's what my friends say. And I like to control. That's why you're not gonna see me buying bulk purchases unless we control. And we found this entire building that we liked a lot. There was a lot of activity around it. It was a Banco Popular. Banco Popular is a $40 billion bank out of Puerto Rico with operations in Chicago and California and in South Florida, of course, and New York. And to make a long story short, there was an $18 million loan on that property. There was about $24 million invested total. It's 14-story. It was documented in the paper. Some of you may have seen it. It's called. So we saw it, and I liked it, and I wanted to buy it. And it's interesting because this bank note sales, it's like under the radar. It's funny because there's a loan, there's liability issues from the bank, so they don't really give it to a broker to market the loan, and that's the way they should do it, to maximize the value for them. But anyway, I got there at the right time, with the right attitude. I made a deal, and we did a short sale. We closed on that deal. Like you were saying, you know, the cycle, the life cycle of the deal was essentially 4 weeks. When we went in, you need to go in with those banks with hard money when you sign a loan. When you sign we initially structured it as a loan purchase. You have to go in with hard money from day one. So you're kind of doing your due diligence before you go under contract. 2 weeks later, we had 20% down, non-refundable, and we were ready to close 4 weeks later. I did demand that they give me the building with the CO. So we bought altogether for $125 square foot with reserves, because our strategy is to go in. We bought the whole building. It was built to be a condominium, but there were no contracts that returned the deposits. We bought the whole thing. We closed 3 months ago. In 2 months, we finished all the units with very nice finishes. We have actually marble in the higher floors. Why? Because the strategy is to do a condo conversion in 3 to 4 years.